Okay. To get started on multimedia, or at least continue, we should at least cover cloud computing at some point. This has definitely been the latest rage from industry. Everyone wants to push everything to the cloud. So what is cloud computing? Have you all done much with cloud computing so far? A little bit. Where have you seen it come up?
The scripting class, really.
Okay. What do we do in there? What did y'all do in there?
We had to make like an online food pyramid thing, but the idea was that people could add to it from their browser. It was kind of like a program running on side of the server.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Aside that, not much.
It's really not much, because if cloud computing is done correctly, it only handles what's going on in the background, aka where your information is stored and being processed. It doesn't operate, it's not like you see the cloud or saying, hey, look, I'm on the cloud or something. You don't dial into the cloud or something. It's really just a replacement for the background. Connects to cloud. Oh, by the way, I took these slides. I think these are the government slides, so these aren't mine. Connects cloud to internet to do, you can do computating tasks, applications, store data. Basically, it's just a way to replace a lot of website development is what's very commonly used for, but you can use it to do your databases as well. AWS has a huge system for that. And also, what's been coming out recently with AWS Lambda and other, with Microsoft, is being able to just write a program, send it to the cloud, it'll run it, and then give you the results back, which is really good if you have a long-running program that can take advantage of multiple processes. So average cloud user connects to the internet via the internet and then does some tasks. And the idea is that in the background, you're not going to see a change. Because, believe it or not, all of these services actually use it. So have you ever gone to Amazon? Well, they use AWS, so that's an easy one. But pretty much all of these, Google has their own cloud right now. I forget which one Netflix is using. Oh, I think Netflix is using AWS. I believe YouTube is using Google's version as well. But all these are using the cloud. And when they did the switch, you probably didn't notice anything because it's all being done on the back end. All right. When we talk about clouds, they usually branch them out into different types of services. So first one that we're going to talk about is software as a service. There's also platform as a service and infrastructure as a service. But first off, we'll talk about software as a service. The idea is that the applications are hosted by the vendor and then made available to the customer. The point of this one is you basically write the software, and then it takes care of everything else. It loads up any servers you need, any databases you need in the background, and the company, AWS, will take care of it from there. So, okay, dropping back a bit, what does the cloud actually require? Usually it requires an internet connection, unless you have a very specific connection. The cloud is really based off the internet. You usually have to create an account and agree to the terms, of course. This looks like the login for the Google Cloud. So what is it exactly? Well, people like to see pictures of a cloud, but really, if you actually go into the back end, the cloud is these large warehouses of different servers. The point of the cloud is that Amazon can just host these large warehouses in this one large warehouse, and then the idea of, then everyone can basically share the resources. So in the long run, it's hopefully going to make things cheaper, although there might be a couple of issues that we'll get into in a bit. But people think of it as just out in the cloud. Really, you're just using someone else's machine. All right, from ground to cloud. Okay. So how do we get here? Well, computers have internal storage, C drive. CPU has a drive for storing programs as well. Correct, standard computer. Let's see. Must return that cannot access. Correct, internal storage is just to that machine. You might have different programs that run on your machine as well. Naturally, you have different external. Let me skip it. And then you can have network storage as well. And this is over the network. I think we're all used to this. Right, you can save documents to wherever you want it to be. Internal, external storage in the network. But in cloud storage with the Dropbox, you might have Dropbox, SkyDrive, or actually Amazon as well. You will then be storing it to someone else's machine over the internet. Okay. All right. Y'all have used Dropbox before?
Google Drive.
Google Drive, yeah.
They gave me like 100 gigs with that Chromebook.
Oh, wow. Is that not normal? What does the free version give you?
You get like 2.
Two? Oh, okay. Well, that's good. All right, save files, it works the same way. Okay. More than storage, software and applications. All right, so we talked about somewhat on storage. Y'all are used to that, but you can actually run applications. Google Docs, y'all probably gone in there, you can be able to create an app from the internet. The same thing with the cloud. We're going to skip through here. Would it come from? Right. The nice thing here is anything that's an internet capable device can go ahead and use the cloud, but what's the downfall?
It's got to go across the internet.
It's got to go across the internet. So if your internet connection goes down, you're not,
Everything.
you lose everything. Hopefully, you can at least recover at some point. Okay. Let me skip to the next part. Here we go. All right, so we talked about software as a service. We talked a little bit about cloud just to make sure we're all on the same page. The next type is called platform as a service. This is a little bit of a hybrid, so this can be a little confusing to differentiate between infrastructure as a service. But you're renting the hardware, OS, storage, and network capacity over the internet. So you're renting certain servers and certain storage out there. Okay, you may say, I want to use Windows 10, and I wanted to have these resources, and it would go ahead and just give it to you, and you could take it from there.
So like buying a game server.
This, renting.
Yeah.
Like always
renting
renting here. Yeah, you could rent a game server. Yeah, it'd be just like that. Except you could put in the specs you want, and then it would just go out and give it to you. Infrastructure as a service is usually what I have dealt with when I've done this. Usually the two are either infrastructure or platform. I haven't gone into actually using the platform, but the idea here is you are directly renting the hardware or the software. And this is usually done through a virtual machine. Say, hey, I want to have, give me a virtual machine, or give me a hardware. They'll put in AWS has these different classifications like M2 micro, or M16 large, or it's a 16 core machine with a large hard drive as well, and you can configure all the different aspects you want to it. And then it says, all right, you have this, and then later you say which operating system you want to place on it, and you can go ahead and put it on there. So the service provider is responsible for housing and running and maintaining it, but but then the client on this one is actually in charge of installing the software, maintaining the software, as well as anything else along with the software itself. Usually with infrastructure, it's per use basis, so you'll probably spin this up for a couple of hours and be charged by the hour. Okay, why the cloud? So I've talked a little bit about this. Why do you think a lot of vendors want to go to the cloud here?
They can buy less cheap hardware.
Less cheap hardware. They can buy cheaper
They can buy
hardware?
more cheap hardware. That's testing you.
Cheaper hardware. Okay, anything else?
Their stuff is available everywhere, kind of innately.
Innately, right? Because it's
They
been,
don't have to drag around their hardware to get their software into a specific location.
yeah, so who has the reliability problem now?
The service provider.
The service provider, yeah. AWS now has, it's their problem for reliability, not yours anymore. So that's actually a very popular reason for using the cloud. When it comes to cheaper, from my experience, it depends on what you have.
True.
For small instances and small applications, in general, it's cheaper to just use the cloud because you'll pay 20 or 30 a month and you're good to go. But once it starts becoming pretty large, that's where it might be better if you owned your own little warehouse. And when I say large, I mean, you have 100 machines that you need. Might be a little better to have your own warehouse and maintain it yourself. All right, can anyone think of another reason?
A good thing.
Or maybe a negative reason or why people wouldn't use the cloud?
Well, some of the cloud things don't let you download your stuff locally. Some
Right.
of them don't. So if you need access to it, like a backup of it, and theirs goes down, you're kind of out of luck.
Yes, okay.
Also, if the
That's a good
AWS goes
timeline
down,
on the service provider for maintenance. If their system goes down, you can't say, well, I need this up right now. You're on whatever their
Right.
priority level is.
and your productivity's kind of halted. If
Correct.
They go down.
Although it's usually there's some type of agreement of availability. For example, with AWS, they'll guarantee 99.99% uptime or availability. So as long as they're within that 0.01, they're usually okay and under contract. And if I had a good image of AWS, I could show you how they do it. It's actually pretty cool. They'll have little site locations, like one's in Virginia, for example. And then of that, they'll have different groups that are completely separated. Like they don't do anything with one another except have a connection to share data. So if one site has a problem, they just turn it off, and then the other one takes over. And they have they call it a terabit connection, where they keep everyone updated on what's going on. So they have a full mirrored capability, is what I'm trying to point out. All right, what would be another problem with the cloud? So I'm just saying reliability is usually built into the contract, and when it comes down to 99.99%, it's pretty good, and you can actually purchase the 99.9, I forget how many nines, as well, if you really have the money. So they can guarantee a pretty good reliability, probably equal to, possibly better than what your on-premise network would be. And that's the term they use for when you're using hardware on your own, I guess, land. So what would be another problem that people might have with the cloud? Think military. Security. Why is security a problem?
Why isn't it?
You have to
Why
trust
would
them
security
with
be
your
a problem
stuff.
with the cloud?
You have to trust them with your stuff.
Yeah,
Like
so now
Google with all my documents and search history.
Right. So now, yeah, if you're trying to do secret or top secret and you want to put it on the cloud, what does that imply?
Anybody could have access to it.
Right. Well, the cloud provider better adhere to your security concerns. And the government is actually working on this. There's AWS GovCloud, which can house certain classified, that's the right word, information, if done correctly. But it's still a huge issue, and that one is very debated as well. All right, so advantages, they came up with less expensive sometimes.
It depends.
It depends. The other issue here is you've already have your hardware and software, then you're probably not going to have to buy it. But when you upgrade, maybe that would be a good time to do it. Can be used anywhere on the internet. Does not need large internal storage system. That's great. Compatible with most computers and operating systems, because when it comes down to it, what computer cannot go on the internet? Updates occur across service. Depending on which one you do, if you do software as a service or platform as a service, then your AWS is going to be doing the updates for you, which is nice, or the cloud. Otherwise, you may have to do the updates yourself. But even if you're doing the infrastructure, AWS or the cloud service provider will actually upgrade the hardware for you. Security, big issue. Terms of service, maybe you don't agree with the way your cloud provider works. And then privacy policies, because you're having to, again, trust them with your information. Okay, any questions about the cloud? No questions about the cloud? Okay.